you find it challenging to get organ meats into your healthy ketogenic lifestyle? Don't you wish you could get all the benefits of consuming these traditional superfoods, chock full of nutrients, without having to cook or eat them? Well, let me introduce you to the brand new grass-fed organ complex supplement from Paleo Valley, makers of the deliciously juicy grass-fed beef sticks. They use gently freeze-dried ingredients, including all grass-fed, grass-finished beef liver, heart, brain, and kidney to give you a flavorless, power-packed punch of nutrition you won't be able to replicate beyond eating all of these organ meats in your diet. Each bottle contains a 30-day supply of easy-to-swallow pills with no fillers or flow agents added. They're gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, dairy-free, and non-GMO. Go to paleovalley.com/LLVLC and use the coupon code LLVLC to get a generous 20% off your order. Try it today to get a 60-day, 100% money-back guarantee and see how you like the grass-fed organ complex for yourself. That's paleovalley.com/LLVLC.
Are you an athlete who eats a low-carb, high-fat ketogenic diet? Then let me introduce you to GoKetoAthlete.com. It's your one-stop source to find books, articles, movies, podcasts, and a members blog all about maximizing your athletic performance using the keto lifestyle. GoKetoAthlete.com is set to become the world's largest directory of resources and expert knowledge on all things keto for that weekend warrior and elite competitor alike. They do this by cataloging the unique and collective experiences of its members all in one place. Start your free trial today and become a member of this rapidly growing community of like-minded athletes. Get yours at GoKetoAthlete.com and be sure to use the coupon code LLVLC at checkout to receive a complimentary 60-day membership to try it out for yourself. GoKetoAthlete.com. The information and opinions provided here are for educational purposes only and are not intended to provide individual medical advice. Material, conversations, and statements found herein are not intended as and does not substitute for a personalized doctor-patient relationship.
You are listening to Keto Talk with Jimmy Moore and the Doc, featuring veteran health podcaster Jimmy Moore and Surprise, Arizona family physician Dr. Adam Nally. They are here answering the most pressing questions about a low-carb, high-fat, ketogenic diet. Visit our website, ketotalk.com. And now, it's time for Keto Talk with Jimmy Moore and the Doc. Here's Jimmy and Adam.
Hey guys, we're back here with episode 52 of Keto Talk with Jimmy Moore and the Doc. Visit our website, it's ketotalk.com, and we are here each and every Thursday answering your questions about low-carb, moderate protein, high-fat diets. And I'm only half of we. I am Jimmy Moore. The other half of we is the great one himself. You like that new moniker I gave you, the great one, Dr. Adam Nally. What's up, Adam?
Well, hello, Jimmy, and hello, all you Ketonians out there, and welcome to February.
Hello, the great one.
The great one. I don't need the great one. No.
I usually say my good buddy, my pal. He is Dr. Adam Nally, and that's who you are. So you're my good pal.
Yeah, right back at you. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I wanted to start the show today because we talked about recently that you and I started a brand new ketogenic friendly vitamin line called Keto Living. Well, on Instagram, just a few days ago, we got this really nice review from someone who calls themselves My Ketogenesis. She said, Keto Living, Keto Essentials multivitamin supplement update. I'm a fan. So I've been taking this keto supportive multivitamin mineral supplement every day for a week. And so far, I really like them. I heard them advertised on Keto Talk with Jimmy Moore and Adam Nally. I decided to give them a try. This is just my personal experience, but I don't have any medical tests or numbers to show. And it's only been a week, but I know some folks are curious how I'm doing with them. So far, I feel more energetic, more focused, calmer. I haven't had any cravings at all. I have basically been having my morning coffee around 11 and then one good meal in the afternoon around 3. I work from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. most days. So not being hungry at night is really convenient. Another thing worth noting is that multivitamins usually make me feel like I need to eat nonstop. I took a different supplement recently that made me feel like snacking and eating everything I could get my hands on. It's not even hunger, it's just a compulsion to eat. Thankfully, these have the exact opposite effect. As I mentioned, I feel calm, satisfied, much less hungry. I also did myself a favor, prep some easy to eat food for the week. That helped too. This is just 6 pills to take, but I take them all with my meal. It's no problem, very easy on the stomach. They don't repeat on me or give me any indigestion. They're a bit pricey, but when you look at why and what is in them, you would most likely spend a whole lot more money to get all the ingredients that they put in this. I will keep taking them, so that's my update. That was pretty cool.
That's really nice. Wow. Great.
So thank you, my Ketogenesis. And definitely if you're interested in our Keto Essentials multivitamin or the Berberine Plus, which is a blood sugar regulating supplement as well, ketoliving.com is the website. And we've already had a couple of hundred ketonians already kind of take advantage of that. And we're real excited to continue to get it out there. So why would she be experiencing hunger taking another multivitamin and not with ours? Are they putting fillers in there that maybe stoke hunger?
Some of them are fillers. Some of them actually add maltodextrin, which is a sugar. And so if you're insulin resistant, it's going to cause a rebound craving. If you haven't balanced your B12s with your folic acid correctly, that can cause a stomach upset. And so a lot of people will eat because of that, or they'll feel a little nauseated by it. There's a large amount of B12 in this, which there needs to be. That's why it was designed that way. But because of the way it was balanced, it doesn't often cause that. And then because of the leptin balancing property that a number of the components of it have, it actually helps that feedback mechanism so that what you eat actually makes you full rather than causing those rebound cravings. So that was one of the reasons it was designed the way it was specifically to help the pre-diabetic, diabetic patient who is taking 12 different bottles of vitamins find one vitamin to take that has the balance that's going to really help about 85% of those people that I see in my office every single day.
Yeah, and we're very happy to hear that it's helping people. And definitely, if you've enjoyed it, tell your friends and family. And, we're really trying to get that out there because, unfortunately, good quality vitamins are truly hard to find. You won't be able to find this formulation really anywhere else. So, again, check it out, ketoliving.com. But let's say a special thank you to the people who helped us this past week keep this show on the air. They are, and I hope I don't butcher this first one, I think you say that one, Taryam, Taryam. Thank you so much. Wendy, Edgar, Samuel, Sheila, Jerry, and Jackson. Thank you guys so much for your contributions. They made a donation either through the ketotalk.com website. There's a donate button right there, or at paypal.me/ketotalk. And several people lately, Adam, have been setting up automated ones to do that automatically each month. And so we really appreciate that you find value in what we do here, and we'll continue to provide quality information. And so thank you for your support.
Yes, thank you very much.
So let's hop right into today's show. We got a lot of really good questions, as always, from our very intelligent Ketonians. The first one is from Nora. Nora says, "Hello, Jimmy and the Doc. Thank you so much for your wonderful podcast. I've listened to every episode. I learned something new every time. My question for you is about my 58-year-old husband who has a slight adult acne problem that flares up occasionally in the winter. We've been eating keto since June, and his acne has gotten worse than it ever has. I've heard you mention that eating keto can help teenagers with their acne issues, but that doesn't seem to be the case for my husband. He's ready to give up on keto because of this issue. What is he doing wrong, and do you think this problem will calm down eventually if he continues with his well-formulated ketogenic diet, or will it just keep getting worse? Thank you for your help with this, Nora." So Nora wants to know, does a ketogenic diet increase the prevalence of adult acne? Now, one of the things that's been out there and the mechanisms that we talk about when it comes to skin health issues is the role insulin plays. So if he's truly getting ketogenic, acne should come down, not up. But there's so many probably, mechanisms apart from that. Stress, I'm sure, can lead to that. And then the other kind of elephant in the room that is my theme song, where are your ketone readings? So we don't know if he's actually in ketosis. That was kind of something that jumped out on the page too. But what do you think about her question?
Well, it's actually a really good question, and I had to read it twice to try to figure out where the answer might lie.
Yeah.
If acne is really caused by 4 different things, and for those of you that want to geek out, get ready because it's number one.
Here we go, another infographic coming.
Follicular hyperkeratinization, which is basically
what is that? What? Say it again.
Follicular. Those are hair cells.
Yeah.
Hyperkeratinization, which is increased keratin formation around the follicle. And that usually occurs because of dry skin. Now, that's the number one flag. And when his wife says this usually happens around the winter, when there's a shift from air conditioning to non-air conditioning back and forth, the heater going on, heater going off, we'll usually see dryness in the skin and acne will flare up during that period of time. And that was one of the flags that she raised. So my suspicion is that his acne seems to flare during a period of dry skin. Now, when a person shifts into a ketogenic diet, if they're not eating, drinking enough water and taking enough salt, they will dry out. They'll get dehydrated, and that will amplify the acne initially. So hydration is really important here. Second issue is that if there was a shift in the way that people are using soaps will also dry the skin out. And so you really don't want to be zestfully clean because it strips all the oil off of your skin. And that leads to increased hyperkeratinization and possible irritation at the follicle. The second is increased sebum production or increased sweat. The third is Propionum bacteria's acne within the follicle. That's an actual bacteria that's present 80 and 90% of the time in the acne, causing the actual pustule to form. And then lastly is inflammation. And there's a number of enzymes that cause this inflammation to occur, specifically driven by the bacteria. Now, acne always gets worse before it gets better. So if there's a combination of the wintertime, dry skin, dehydration, and a flare of worsening before it gets better, you're going to see the acne pop up first. And so the big key is using a hypoallergenic soap that doesn't literally strip all the oil off your skin, number one, drinking enough water, number two, making sure he's taking in enough fat and salt, because those also play a role. Coconut oil often stabilizes the keratinization of the skin, and that's why women love it.
Topical or in the mouth?
They actually use both. I've had some women use topical and or your favorite scented lotion, or oral ingestion of a good fat like coconut oil actually does help to stabilize the skin barriers. And so those are some things to consider that may be playing a role in his acne. Now, if it's not improving, then by all means he wants to get checked out by his doc and make sure that that's okay. But those are the big 4 geeky things to think about with acne when you start having a flare up. But acne often worsens before it gets better because what's happening is you're killing the bacteria. It's changing, but the body has to get rid of that bacteria. Right. And so it's going to slough it out first. And so and if he's kind of cycling in and out and he's cheating, you can actually have this kind of propagating acne that occurs. There is one other potential cause. Women's skin usually gets better when their estrogen level goes up. And so if he's got a low testosterone level and he hasn't quite got into ketosis and his testosterone is shifting, you'll see a flare of acne with that too. So it comes down to the hormones in that part of it as well in some cases.
So is there a connection to insulin and acne?
We know that those people who are insulin resistant, because of the fact that they're producing larger amounts of sugar or glucose in their sweat, can feed the acne to some degree. And that's where the increased sebum or the increased sweat can play a role in that it's feeding this bacteria. In many cases, you actually have to treat the bacteria with an antibiotic to really truly knock out the acne. But the insulin resistant plays a kind of a secondary role in that, yes.
Wow. Well, it was a fascinating question, Nora, so thank you so much for sharing that. And I still deal with this from time to time, and I assumed my insulin resistance was kicking me in the patooey and making that happen. So now we have several things that it could be going on. So hopefully that helps you out, Nora, and your husband. Let us know how it goes. Well, let's move to the study portion of the show. This is where we talk about a study that's in the news. And this is a headline out of Health Day. Diabetes kills more Americans than had been thought. Condition is the 3rd highest cause of death, according to a new study. The number of Americans who die from diabetes is much higher than previously believed, according to a new study. The research, based on federal government data, found that diabetes causes 12% of the deaths in the United States. This would make it the third leading cause of death, right after heart disease and cancer. And the study author Samuel Preston, a sociology professor at the University of Pennsylvania, said if diabetes were eliminated as a disease, the number of deaths would decline by 12%. There have only been one similar earlier research effect, and it was based on data from the 1980s and early 90s. It showed deaths attributable to diabetes amounted to about 4% of total deaths at that time. The data for this new study came from the NHIS and the NHANES. Both are conducted annually, which gives researchers a lot more current figures. So on and on it goes. It was published in the January 25th edition of the journal PLOS ONE. But this is not something that's new, that just suddenly popped up. Oh, we just discovered that diabetes kills. What happens is a lot of these other diseases are attributed to something other than a metabolic pathway, which would then turn to diabetes. They blame it on something else, but this isn't brand new, is it?
No, not at all. And it's interesting because, at least in Arizona, and I'm not sure what other states are like, when a patient passes away, the primary care doctor is usually the one that fills out the death certificate. And so I will get, the death certificates often in those cases. And it's my responsibility to go through and say, okay, this is the cause of death and this is what ended up happening. And so it's interesting to note that what we're starting to find is that the heart disease itself, often being driven by parameters of diabetes, where that diabetes is a contributing factor, right, is now starting to be reported through those death certificates. And so what we're starting to see is that where we've linked diabetes to heart disease and atherosclerosis or vascular disease, we're starting to see that link occur and realizing that a much larger component of our death in our society today is related to diabetes or diabetes complications.
You know what I would love to see is if they broke it down by how many of these people were inflamed at death. Wouldn't it be close to 100%? It would have to be. Other than car accident, of course.
Yeah, there are any number of reasons, but inflammation plays a big role in most disease. So you'd see a large component of that. Yes.
Which means, all right, let's eat in such a way, let's live our lifestyle factors in such a way that we reduce inflammation, rather than getting so hyper focused on, well, this diet's better than this diet, or whatever. I think if we put the focus on what's actually at the heart of disease, and inflammation is definitely one of the biggies, that seems to me to be the way to communicate to people, hey, look, you want to get healthier, you want to lower inflammation, however you want to do that. And obviously we advocate for a ketogenic diet here, but really anything that's going to lower inflammation in someone's going to make them healthier.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
He was stunned into silence. Usually you stun me into silence, Doc. Jimmy Moore said something profound. Wow.
Oh, I was pondering that, thinking, yeah, okay,
yeah, sure.
I was actually reworking a pathway, trying to figure out how could we put that on there. And
there you go. Hey. See, the brain never stops, you guys. He's always thinking. So, well, let's get to today's featured questions. The first one is from Jordan. Hi, guys. I was listening to Dr. Ted Naiman's talk from the Low Carb Cruise on the Living La Vida Low Carb show, and his comment about using lard on a ketogenic diet caught my attention. He mentioned his concerns with coupling fats and carbs using refined empty calorie sources of both in rat studies. The fats he listed were vegetable oil and lard. So I'm curious what you guys think about lard and its place in a ketogenic diet. Lard is a fat that seems to be as good as its source, which is only as good as what it ate. Dr. Naiman did note that he's referring to the refined version of lard, but my question for you guys is this. Would using home-rendered, sustainably fed, and naturally pastured lard still be associated with this empty and inferior fat source? Looking at the profile of lard, its mixture of monounsaturated and saturated fats, not to mention the vitamin D content, it seems to be a well-rounded source of healthy fat. So what's your take on this? Thanks, Jordan. So Jordan's question says, what's the effect of refined lard versus pastured lard as a fat source on a ketogenic diet? Now, lard is definitely one of those things that's a healthy fat. But I got to tell you, Adam, when I was walking through the grocery store, I saw like a big bucket type of thing and it said lard on it. And, you kind of look at it and it's that refined version that Dr. Naiman's concerned about. Is there a difference between that and, a nicer one like the company Fatworks makes a really nice lard, or if you make one at home and render your own? Are those two different beasts?
Well, I suspect that they are, and it really comes down to the rendering process. And I got to tell you, I love Dr. Naiman. He's awesome.
He is
great
totally
guy.
Awesome.
Great guy. I'd love to listen to him lecture. He always does a fantastic job.
He talks really fast. I thought you talked fast. He talks twice as fast as the doc does.
He talks faster than I do, which is I think it's a sign of intelligence.
Hey.
But, so he's a good guy.
We got a lot of complaints on the low carb cruise because he talked so fast last year.
Oh, he's a speedy talker.
Slow down.
Yeah, bless his heart. Yeah, he's a great guy. But it was a fascinating lecture that he gave. Now, remember, there are really three different types of lard, and the rendered lard that they're referring to is lard. It's the fat. It's essentially the fat around the organ meat that's been boiled, and the saturated fat comes to the surface and is white, and they pull that off. Now, the benefit of that lard is it's actually tasteless. So if you were going to use that lard in your sugar cookies, like my grandmother used to do when I was a child, it doesn't have the taste of
no porky pork flavor.
So there's no porky flavor. So it has its place, and it's pure saturated fat, but it's pulling off some of the monosaturated fats and may theoretically be pulling off the vitamins because of the boiling process and things like that, because you're rendering just the purely saturated surface molecule that comes off that. And so you're pulling off some of the other stuff that may contain some of that nutrients that's essential. And so it is considered the worst of the three in that regard, but it's the easiest to cook with. And so that's why it's very, very popular in the grocery store.
It's a stable cooking fat too.
It is a very stable cooking fat because it was boiled. Now, there's other ways to render where you heat it, or you dry render it, where they actually heat it up and bring the actual fat itself to a boil, and that actually changes the fat and can denature the fat in some ways, and because it can cause a problem there. The other forms of lard are lard around the muscles and lard off the back, and so those are actually really healthy. If you're doing this at home and you're running the process yourself, I don't see why this could be a problem at all. And as long as you understand, in my house we use bacon grease coming off the bacon and the meats that we cook, and we reuse that as grease, and so we're maintaining the grease there. And then if my wife will occasionally use lard that's been rendered just to cook with to change the flavor. And so if you're alternating it up, I don't see a problem. But if you're just literally living off a block of lard, you may want to add a little variety to your meal.
So what are these refined sources? Would they be labeled as such, or what would people need to look out for if they were concerned about getting this refined?
And that's a really good question, because I don't shop for lard that often. But my assumption, based on knowing the process, is to look at the way it was rendered. Was it rendered via a boiling point? And to be honest with you, I don't necessarily know if that's on every label.
Yeah.
If you're going to want to get lard rendered from a pig that's going to be grass fed, if you can possibly do it, because you're going to get a better really fat. Good. Yeah. Pasteurized. Yep. And if
pastured, not pasteurized.
Pastured. Pardon me. That's a slip of the.
I don't want people to go look for pasteurized pork lard. It ain't out there, guys.
You won't find that. No. It'll be with Louis somewhere.
Yeah. Exactly.
Anyway. So to be honest, I don't know the answer to how you can identify, or if it's even required to put on the label. But as Jordan asked, if he's rendering his own lard, I don't see any problem with that at all.
Right. And like I said, there's some good companies out there. Fatworks is one that I know very well that does do things the right way with pastured animals. And so they do the same thing with tallow, beef tallow, and coconut oil, and all the other healthy fats that we use on a ketogenic diet. So to answer your question, Jordan, yes, please use lard, and the good kind of lard. And hopefully the doc's information about the various kinds gives you a little more clarity about that. Let's pause here for a sponsor, and we'll be right back. Are you passionate passionate about nutrition and looking for a way to start sharing your knowledge with others through a respected, credentialed education program? Then check out the Nutrition Therapy Association, NTA, at nutritionaltherapy.com. The NTA trains and certifies nutritional therapy practitioners and consultants by emphasizing the bio-individuality and the wide range of dietary strategies that support overall wellness. The NTA encourages local, whole, properly prepared, nutrient-dense foods as the key to restoring balance and enhancing the body's ability to heal. You can become a nutritional therapy practitioner, NTP, in just 9 months of 15 to 20 hours a week commitment, and it includes 3 multi-day hands-on workshops with live info sessions twice monthly. Registration is currently live through February the 6th, 2017, and financial aid is available as well. Learn more by calling the NTA toll-free at 800-918-9798 and sign up now for the 10th annual NTA conference coming to Vancouver, Washington on March the 3rd through the 5th, 2017. Learn more about becoming an NTP at nutritionaltherapy.com. Are you looking for an online store that would have all your ketogenic products in one place? Then let me introduce you to OneStopKeto.com. Once you get there, you'll see personally selected products by me, and they do have the largest selection of keto-friendly products. There are no membership fees, and you'll get free shipping on all orders over $99. Use the coupon code KETOTALK for an additional special discount for listeners of Keto Talk with Jimmy Moore and the Doc. They ship to the US and Canada, and they have 5-star amazing customer service. If you have any questions and looking for specific products, they are there for you. So head on over to OneStopKeto.com. Are you a fan of fasting and looking for a podcast dedicated to the fine art of not eating? Well, listen in on Fridays for my brand new podcast. It's called Fasting Talk with Jimmy Moore and Dr. Jason Fung, featuring Megan Ramos. We'll be answering your questions all about intermittent, alternate day, and extended fasting. It's a fun-filled, fast-paced show dedicated to sharing practical and clinically proven information all on the subject of fasting. We'll have the latest, most up-to-date scientific evidence supporting fasting from Dr. Fung in the first week of each month, invaluable input on incorporating fasting into your healthy low-carb and ketogenic lifestyle from me and Megan in the second and fourth weeks, and a special testimonial episode in the third week highlighting a fasting success story from Dr. Fung's Intensive Dietary Management Clinic in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Don't miss a single episode of this exciting new podcast for 2017 called Fasting Talk at fastingtalk.com. We're back here with Keto Talk with Jimmy Moore and the Doc. My name is Jimmy Moore, the international best-selling author of the Ketogenic Cookbook and Keto Clarity. And coming this summer with Dr. Nally, we'll be writing a book called The Keto Cure. So we'll have more information about that as the time gets closer. I actually saw it's on Amazon now. Doc, I was in a store in Canada the other day doing a speaking gig, and I actually met a 12-year-old Ketonian. She's a big fan of our shows and said, I want to meet you. And it's like, oh, that's so cute, 12 years old. But I was in a bookstore there, and they had the Keto Cure on their system. You know, when I had
really?
to look, because I was trying to sign my books that were in their store. And so he typed in my name, and there was the Keto Cure in the big, beautiful blue book of ours. So, and I think it said like September was the release. And so
awesome.
Anyway, it's always fun to see that on computer systems like that. But it's coming, you guys. It's coming.
Cool.
And he is Dr. Adam Nally out there in Surprise, Arizona, doing his thing, helping his patient population get better with a ketogenic diet, and definitely other things helped as well. But laying that foundation with nutrition is always important, and I know that's your heart and soul, isn't it, Doc?
Oh, that it is. That it is.
Well, let's get back to the questions here, and the next one's from Jenny. Jenny says, "Hey, Jimmy and Dr. Nally, I absolutely love your podcast. My question for you is this: why have I experienced major heartburn since I started following a ketogenic diet? The only time I've ever had it before was during pregnancy. It gets so bad now that when I lay down for bed, it's very difficult to sleep. Any suggestions on how to correct this problem? Thanks for your help, Jenny. So Jenny has a really interesting question. Does a ketogenic diet lead to heartburn? And why is this happening? And what can I do about it? Now, one of the things we have strong evidence for a ketogenic diet is that it actually reduces heartburn. So this was a little bit of a perplexing one. It makes me wonder, Adam, if she's eating something in her diet that's leading to the heartburn. We know MCT oil can give you that gastric reflux that could, give you the sensation of heartburn. Of course, there's various foods, but what's your take on this? Did you see anything that kind of stood out?
Oh, absolutely. And we know that in some of the studies, especially the one I think of offhand with Eric Westman's study,
yep.
Heartburn improves by about 65%.
Which he found by accident, by the way.
Yeah.
He wasn't even looking at heartburn, but the study participants just randomly said, oh, my heartburn got better. And he's like, whoa, I saw this like 6 or 8 times, out of 6 out of every 10 patients. And he's like, whoa, I guess we need to report this.
Yeah, and I saw the same thing, and I have seen the same thing for a long time where, 60 to 65% of people get better with their heartburn. Now, the first thing I think of is 2 issues. Number one, there's probably something in the diet, just like you said, and it's usually some form of cocoa, chocolate, peppermint, or caffeine. And so a lot of people will actually add in caffeine or they'll be using more bulletproof coffee or something like that, which actually has a little more caffeine than they're used to, and that can amplify the reflux. Peppermint, like I said, has a similar property to it, and as well as green tea and the extracts of green tea have the potential to do it as well. Since it actually worsens when she lays down, one of the other components would be genetically, some people will have what's called a hiatal hernia. This is where the top of the stomach slides up into the upper part of the diaphragm or through the diaphragm, and when the person lays down, the actual pressure of the stomach allows that sphincter at the top of the stomach to open and let the contents kind of move up the esophagus and cause that heartburn to kick in. So if she's eliminated those things out of her diet, then looking at actually having someone do an upper GI test to actually look to see does she have that hiatal hernia would be another consideration to add. But in most cases, it's because there's something in the diet that is relaxing that sphincter, and it's usually too much caffeine, too much peppermint, or an increased amount of cocoa that's being used in something that she's making with her ketogenic program.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many moving parts to this that you can't just say, well, I went keto and I got extra heartburn and it's all keto's fault. And yet people do that with not just heartburn, but really a lot of symptoms. Well, I did keto and it's the only thing I've changed. Well, what did you add to your keto? And then you kind of look at, noodle around. That's your job, being an investigator, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is, and usually when I name those 3 or 4 things, one of them goes ting. Oh, that's what it is. Yeah, I often will see that. It's interesting. I had a couple of people that there was this period where peppermint tea was a big thing to start drinking because they had to cut out their soda in general. So that was a problem for some people. So
peppermint tea is supposed to replace soda or at least calm the craving for it.
I thought people were using it for that reason when I first started doing this, but their reflux was getting bad.
Wow.
And so I said to cut out the peppermint tea, and that usually solved it.
And you'd be really screwed if it was caffeinated peppermint cocoa tea.
Oh, yeah, with a little bit of green tea in it.
A little green tea, yeah.
Yeah.
Heartburn City.
Oh, yeah. You'd be in the ER getting worked up for a heart attack with that one.
Doesn't sound very good, actually. Jenny, thank you for that question. Let's move on to the third featured question of the day. It comes from Jory. Jory says, hi, Jimmy and the Doc. I'm a 25-year-old male amateur bodybuilder and power lifter. I've been following a cyclical ketogenic diet. I carb up with high glycemic carbs on the weekend and eat ketogenic all during the week. I consume higher protein when I lift heavy 5 times a week. You guys sparked my interest in one of your podcasts where you discussed kidney stones and carbohydrate intake, and I was curious about whether a cyclical ketogenic diet would increase the risk of kidney stones and other carb-related health issues. Thanks for your help, Jory. So Jory wants to know, if you cycle carbs, then are you increasing your risk of kidney stones and ostensibly other nutrition-related health issues? Now, you and I have talked about this before, that athletes can kind of get away with having maybe a little more carbohydrate or a little more protein because they're basically using it within their performance. And so if they're using it up, then it would seem to me that it would not have a negative detrimental effect. And I guess that would show up in their blood ketone levels being higher, blood sugar being lower. But if something changed about that, maybe Jory is onto something?
Well, and it really comes down to the amount of insulin your body is producing in response to those carbs. Now, most athletes can get away with, like you said, a little bit of carb cycling, and they do great. And I suspect, and the literature points to the fact that because they're so physically active, the insulin resistance component of their muscles is notably lower, and they can handle those insulin loads. And they don't, and the fructose that builds up doesn't cause such a large amount of uric acid or thereby calcium oxalate to build up and cause the stone to arise. But if you're the average Joe and you don't exercise regularly, the flux in that uric acid that occurs from swinging from ketogenic, where your uric acid actually does drop down, to loading the liver with fructose, which is really what turns on the uric acid production and spikes that uric acid up, leading to one component of kidney stones, and in a roundabout way, the other component as well, drives that potential precipitation or formation of crystals in the kidney, leading to the stone. So it's usually the stone and or gout usually arises when in kind of a plethora of three things coming together all at once: a sudden flux in uric acid upwards, a period where they're getting dehydrated, so there's not enough fluid for the crystals to stay in a liquid solute state, and they crystallize. And then third is usually inflammation and stress that's kicking in for some reason there. So those three things kind of kick together and will cause this to happen, where these crystals will either form in the kidney, causing a kidney stone, or even gout in the joint spaces. And so that's really what it's kind of this combination. Now, if you're lucky enough to have a low level of insulin resistance, or you don't have it, you can get away with carb cycling and usually never have a problem. But if you're one that's got some potential to forming stones, I would caution them about getting dehydrated and cycling those carbs, because that it can be and is a risk factor there.
And Jory, being 25 years old, a bodybuilder and power lifter, you would assume someone like that's probably pretty insulin sensitive now. But Jory, don't be surprised if 15 years from now, when you hit the big 4-0, things might shift. And so constantly keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on all your blood markers, which I'm sure you do. If you're listening to this show, you're already pretty much a geek. So, and I say that lovingly. Everybody that listens to the show geeks out on nutrition. So, otherwise, why would they listen to the doc wax eloquently every week? So,
Jimmy's calling me names.
I know, right? I'm gonna tell my mommy on you. Let's pause here for a sponsor, and we'll be right back. Are you looking for high-quality supplements to complement your healthy, low-carb, high-fat, ketogenic lifestyle? Well, look no more, as I've teamed up with ketogenic practitioner and my Keto Talk podcast co-host, Dr. Adam Nally, to create the Keto Living line of supplements. Go to ketoliving.com to see our first two items available for you: the Keto Essentials Multivitamin and the Berberine Plus Blood Sugar Control Formula. Dr. Nally himself hand-selected the key nutrients included in the Keto Essentials Multivitamin, including vitamin D, methylated folate for those with the MTHFR gene mutation, vitamin B12, CoQ10, and so much more. And if you are concerned about elevated blood sugar and cholesterol levels, then check out our customized product called Berberine Plus, which combines the anti-inflammatory power of berberine with therapeutic levels of chromium and banaba leaf. And we're just getting started on the Keto Living brand of ketogenic focused supplements in 2017, including the first ever high-fat meal replacement powder to help you ditch those problematic protein powders, coming soon. Go to ketoliving.com to get your hands on these exciting new supplements to enhance your ketogenic diet. ketoliving.com. Do you miss pizza because it's not a part of your low-carb lifestyle? Then let me introduce you to Real Good Pizza Company. Go to realgoodpizzaco.com and you'll see they have grain-free, gluten-free pizzas that are frozen, 25 grams of protein, 4 grams of carbohydrates, and lots of healthy fats. They only use real food ingredients, almost no carbs, and it's perfect for any low-carb and ketogenic lifestyle. The crust is made from all-natural Parmesan and chicken. The chicken is antibiotic-free and hormone-free. The tomatoes in the sauce and the vegetables in the Supreme are non-GMO, and the cheese is locally sourced and all-natural as well. It's healthy, guilt-free pizza that actually tastes like a pizza. Again, it's called Real Good Pizza. Head on over to realgoodpizzaco.com and be sure to use the coupon code LLVLC at checkout to get 10% off your order as well as free shipping. Real Good Pizza. And we're up to the Keto Talk mailbox portion of the show. And this is a bit of a long one, but I wanted to throw this one in here because it was very intriguing from Lori. She said, "Hi, Jimmy and Doc Nally. First, let me say how much I love this podcast. I look forward to my drive home from work on Thursday evenings because I know there will be a new episode of Keto Talk to enjoy. I find your podcast to be so informative, entertaining, and real. There's so much information out there in health, nutrition, and fitness that it's hard to sort through the noise sometimes. Coming back to this podcast keeps me grounded each week. Thank you both so much for your time that you put into helping others reap the benefits of a ketogenic lifestyle." Thank you, Lori. "I've been on a ketogenic diet for 5 months. I've seen incredible success in my health markers, but I have experienced one strange issue that I'd like your help with. I eat around 7 p.m., fall asleep on the couch around 9, and actually go to bed around 10. Then I'm up at 4:15 a.m. I start a fasted workout of intense strength training or cardio for 1 hour 6 times a week. Most days I don't break my fast until noon, but will sometimes have coffee with a little heavy cream and a little MCT oil. I feel great throughout, but as soon as I eat something like a salad, I get so tired. I could actually curl up under my desk, take a nap if I thought no one would notice. It generally lasts about an hour. So what in the world could be causing this? It's definitely not a sugar crash or a carb coma because it happens so quickly and I don't eat those things anyway. I pay attention to getting adequate electrolytes, so I don't think that's it either. I'm probably not getting enough sleep, but I feel rested when I wake up. Could it simply be that my body really needs that much energy to digest my food that's leading to my symptoms? I welcome any ideas you may have on what could be causing this and any tricks I could apply to prevent it. Thanks so much, Lori." So Lori's question comes down to this: why do I become so incredibly tired after eating? Now, one thing I saw in there, she's eating like a salad when she does eat. So I wonder if the hypocaloric nature of maybe what she's eating, maybe she's not eating enough and her body's kind of slowing down to preserve energy, and that's why she gets sleepy?
Very easily could be. And that was one of my questions too. It sounds like she's eating maybe once or twice a day at the most. And so what I was going to say to Lori is, Lori, welcome to the introduction to the parasympathetic nervous system. There's 2 nervous systems in your body. One is the fight or flight system. That's the sympathetic nervous system. That's what lets you run or fight the bear if it rears up in front of you in the woods. The other is the parasympathetic nervous system. And what it does is it shunts blood away from the muscles and to some degree the brain and sends it to the gut so it can process your meal. So if you've essentially slowed down your gut to where it's really doing minimalistically nothing except for 2 times during the day, when you turn that gut on, it says, she's only feeding me once, so I got to take it all now. And so it
is
actually.
Is that what her gut sounds like?
I think it does. When you put your stethoscope. That wah, 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 wah. Yeah, that's exactly what it sounds like. You put your stethoscope on their stomach and you hear that little voice, feed me, feed me. It's probably just an amped up parasympathetic nervous response that she gets, because I get it too. And I have a number of patients that say, Dr. Nally, I eat my meal and I feel tired. Well, first, and exactly as Jimmy has pointed out, is your salad not enough fat? Is there no protein with that salad, or is there something in your dressing on your salad that may be causing a little bit of an insulin spike?
Like what would do that?
I have some patients that they don't like blue cheese, so they use ranch, but their ranch, and I ask them, well, show me your ranch, and it's light. It's ranch light. And it's like,
those are high in sugar.
Yeah, it's high in sugar. It's not fat. And I'm assuming Lori knows better, and she's not doing that. But if for some reason there's just not enough fat on the salad, or there's too much protein, as we've talked about before, if it's a chicken salad, or if it's sea lion liver salad, it may be an insulin spike from arginine, or one of those things that could happen. That's a possibility. But it's not uncommon if you're just eating once a day that your gut knows that. And so it's going to try to pull as much nutrient out of that food as fast as it can, because it knows it's not going to get it anytime sooner. So you'll have a larger parasympathetic nervous response and make you feel sluggish and sleepy for that first hour.
Yeah, it sounds like she eats around 7 p.m. Of course, we don't know what she's eating there. And then she gets kind of sleepy around 9, goes to bed around 10. She's up really early in the morning, does a workout in a fasted state of quite intense nature, 1 hour, 6 times a week, and doesn't break her fast till noon. So, yeah, I mean, I'm wondering if that meal, she's just so under eating and her body needs more energy. She's just not feeding herself enough. That kind of jumped off the page as I was reading her email.
Yeah, Lori sounds like a beast, but Lori may need to add a little component to that salad. Or the other alternative would be to spread the meal out a little. Eat maybe once a smaller snack, with your coffee if you're hungry. Yeah. If you're not hungry, don't eat. But the big question is, where's your fat and protein coming from other than your coffee? That was one of the questions.
Yeah, I'm wondering if after her workout, the intense strength training workout, if she had a little something then that would make that then lunch meal a little less jarring. Very likely. And we know from athletes, especially those that are bodybuilding and doing those things, that even a small amount of protein after that workout may provide a little bit of nutrients, stabilize muscle, and because she's exercising so heavily, it's probably not going to be a big deal. Yeah. But it probably won't cause that parasympathetic nervous response at 7 p.m. to be so dramatic. Or gluconeogenesis, as people would be concerned about. Yes. Well, thank you, Lori, for that question. Hopefully that helps you out. Please let us know if things get better for you. We always like hearing when we share information with our listeners, how it works for people. So just let us know. We are up to the iTunes review portion of the show, and we got a good one here today from Spielman. Rich and satisfying. Look like a good ketogenic meal. Keto Talk stimulates the brain, nourishes the body, and is fun to consume. Jimmy's warmth rounds out the doc's humor and keeps everything on point. Because it is a relatively new podcast, listeners can start at the beginning. I recommend Keto Talk to anyone who is interested in a healthy 2017. Thanks, Jimmy and Adam. Because of you, I've learned things I didn't know I didn't know. I love that. I love that line there. I learned things I didn't know. And now you know. That's one of the most thought-provoking reviews I've ever read. That was great. You know what it reminds me of is, what's his name? Donald Rumsfeld. We have known knowns and unknown knowns and unknown unknowns and. Oh yeah. You don't know what you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. So I learned what I didn't know that I didn't know I need to know it. So anyway, we had fun with that. Episode 52 is in the can of Keto Talk with Jimmy Moore and the Doc. As always, visit our website, ketotalk.com, to get full show notes for this episode. If you're listening on like your iPhone or one of these devices that has the podcast, you should be able to see the show notes in there. When I was on an airplane coming back from Canada this past weekend, I actually was listening back to a couple of the Keto Talk episodes, and as the questions were being read, I was actually able to follow along. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I didn't realize you could do that. So yes, I podcast. I don't consume podcasts very often, but I do podcasts. So anyway, we all learn. Episode 52 in the can. If you want to support us here on Keto Talk, go to paypal.me/Keto Talk. You can make a donation there, or you can go to ketotalk.com and click on the donate button. So until next Thursday, we'll see you then. See you then.
You've been listening to Keto Talk with Jimmy Moore and the Doc. Visit our website, ketotalk.com, for full show notes for this episode. If you enjoy this podcast, then head on over to iTunes and leave us a review. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Keto Talk. We'll see you again soon. Thank you.